Today we are just outside of Las Vegas, and you know that saying, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas? That is not the case today. I'm going to share everything with you about this. This is the all-new Corvette C8. Las Vegas, Nevada. What a place to launch what could be easily described as the most revolutionary Corvette ever. This new C8 is a completely brand new vehicle, and one of the most notable differences is the dramatic styling. You see, since this C8 Stingray is the first ever mid-engine Corvette, it sports a new sexy exotic look. This has been a long time coming, with concepts since 1960. Here are some extremely cool, rare shots of behind the scenes of the development of this car. Starting in 2014 with this proof of concept. This is really neat stuff. Followed by other test cars you see here. You can see the progress taking shape of the new car that you see here. The new Vette is a much bigger car than the previous C7 generation. It's almost 6 inches longer. The track is 2 inches wider on each side. The wheelbase has been stretched. The hood line is very low and features some very nice detail lines. Everything on this car is functional. You have scoops to take in air for cooling for the engine, for the brakes. The lighting treatment gets stylish LED daytime running lights surrounding rectangular LED headlights. For those who live where a front license plate is required, this inset Corvette vanity plate pops out and you can place your plate in its place, having a nice flush look. I love this. Airflow is managed very well on the C8. This is the very first flat-bottom Corvette, by the way. There's ducting going directly over the brakes, rocker panels that direct air, and the mirrors even funnel air over them and down into the cooling vents. The rear is long and flat, and you just can't help but admire the viewable engine compartment, similar to other mid-engine supercars. LED tail lights are standard with animated turn signals. I feel this car looks so different from various angles. I wasn't really sure about the styling when I first saw the pictures on the reveal, but I can safely say that you really need to see this car in person. The designers did an incredible job at sculpting this C8. On any given day in Las Vegas, you'll see dozens of exotic supercars, and this Corvette feels right at home with the best of them. The first test of the C8 Corvette is a public road drive. We are on the road to Lake Mead. Beautiful roads here, and the funny thing is that it actually rained here today. It rains like 4 days a year in Vegas, and this is one of them. But that's good though. This gives us a really good chance to see how it reacts in everyday driving. So obviously one of the biggest differences of the C8 is it's now mid-engine. That engine behind us is a 6.2 liter small block Chevy V8, and it puts out 490 horsepower, or 495 if you get the performance exhaust, which we have here. Torque is 470 pound-feet of torque, and it's matched to a 8-speed dual clutch transmission, and that's the very first time ever in a Corvette. This engine also has a dry sump lubrication system. What does that mean? Well, It doesn't have a typical oil pan. It has a reservoir, it has scavenger pumps, so the motor can sit a lot lower now, and lower is good. Center of gravity is good. Now we're driving it on these roads here, and you really feel like you're way more forward on this because you actually are. They've also designed the cockpit to be 1 inch longer for legroom, so tall drivers will have no issue at all. Now, if you're gonna buy a brand new Corvette, I really highly recommend that you get the Z or Z51 package. We say Z because we are in Canada, by the way, and that has performance exhaust, gets you that extra 5 horsepower, so 495 horsepower. It also gets you bigger brakes. You get Pilot Sport 4S tires. You also get a performance rear axle ratio and electronic limited slip diff. One thing it does not include, I highly recommend it though, is the magnetic ride control, and that's gonna cost you about another $2,000, but that really adapts the suspension so well. We are in sport mode right now. As I mentioned, these roads are wet because it's rained. It's actually starting to rain again, so they're very slick, but it's incredible how much traction you can actually get with all that weight in the back. It's got a 40-60 weight distribution. Of course, if you really hammer it and you put in track mode, which really opens the parameters, you can get this thing a little bit squirrely, but it is fun. One thing I find amazing with this is that with this Z51 or Z51 package, 0 to 60 is under 3 seconds. It's like 2.9 seconds. So imagine this, the last generation Corvette ZR1 or ZR1, it did it in 2.85 seconds, and that had 755 horsepower. This has 50% less horsepower, and it's doing 0 to 60 in the same time. So let's talk about modes. This new Corvette is many Corvettes in one, actually. We have it right now in weather mode, so if you're in inclement weather, you can put it there. It'll just boost everything up to help you keep this thing stable. One over, we go into my mode, where you can customize whatever mode that you want. Turn one more, we have touring mode. This is a very good grand touring vehicle we've discovered. We've driven it for about 2 hours right now, and with this magnetic ride control, it controls the suspension so well. It's not cushy by any means, but it's very, very soft for these type of roads. Then you have sport. You can see the displays change. By the way, this is equipped with a head-up display, and it's one of the most clear displays I've ever seen, and there's so much great information, and it's all color. And the last mode, of course, is track mode. So that really opens up everything, and it sounds really, really good too. Now, one thing I wanted to mention as well that you can get for the Corvette is you can get a lifting front end. So it's in a package, so it uses hydraulics and it'll lift the front end. So if you have like a steep driveway or big speed bumps, this will clear that for you, and it is GPS controlled, let's just say. So you can set a memory if you have an area that you go to often, and when you get to that area, it will actually raise the vehicle up for you. So it's starting to rain right now, and I mentioned we are on public roads with a 35-mile-an-hour speed limit. The views are amazing, but it just doesn't suit this car. So it's off to the track. This is more like it. Let's get this Corvette stretching its legs on a racetrack. What a track this is. Onto the power. And a real long sweeper here. It tracks so accurately. These tires are sticky. The C8 is available with the latest generation PDR or Performance Data Recorder. which is not only handy for recording your track activities along with telemetry, but it can also work as an integrated dash cam. I said this all along in the last generation Corvette's PDR. It just really makes sense since the camera is already there.
This 8-speed dual clutch transmission is fast. It's crisp. We're just in track mode. We have it on auto. We're not even using the paddles. And it is predicting everything that this car requires on this track. Perfect downshifts.
In case you're wondering, the new generation Corvettes will not be available with a manual transmission in any model for a couple reasons. The first is the number of manuals actually sold are so small compared to automatics. And secondly, there is actually no room for a proper shifter placement and the linkage. In order to place a manual transmission in the C8, a good portion of the car would have to be redesigned totally.
You can feel this is a Corvette. This is not a small car. There's some weight here at play, but the balance is really, really noticeable. The turn-ins are so precise.
I recently just tested another mid-engine sports car on a racetrack. It was the new Porsche Cayman GTS. While the Cayman feels much nimbler and more compact than the Stingray, it is much smaller after all. The Corvette kind of leaves it in the dust when you talk about numbers though. A faster top speed, more horsepower, a quicker to 0 to 60, all while having a similar starting price, making it a relative bargain compared to the Cayman. Oh, and I forgot, it also comes standard with that target top as well. On the same size level for mid-engine vehicles, it reminds me a little bit of the Acura NSX or the Audi R8, but without all-wheel drive, and also more than $100,000 less. With those price differences, you could easily buy two Corvettes. If you don't have the magnetic ride control and just have the passive shocks, you can change your suspension for a track setup fairly easy to optimize handling and stability. Top speed on the new Vette is 192 miles per hour, but actually if you get the Z or Z51 package, it's actually a little bit slower, mainly because of more drag from some of the additional cooling ducts and that rear wing. It's minor though, so I really wouldn't worry too much about it.
Listen to that LT2, almost 500 horsepower.
Like most sports cars, if you own one, you owe it to yourself and you owe it to your car to get it out on a track once in a while, just to really let it properly communicate to you what it's designed to do. Here's one thing I didn't know. If you are a newer Camaro or Corvette owner and you suffer a mechanical issue or breakdown while you're on a racetrack, the same warranty applies as if you were on public roads. Now, they're not going to cover you if you damage your car from a crash, but anything mechanical that is under warranty is covered. That there is enough reason to get out there and take your car to the track.
When you unbalance the weight of this car, it just settles right back in really quick. I'm not sure how stable it would be if you really got out of shape though, but to that limit though, it is really good.
General Motors really went to town when designing this interior. You feel like you are in a jet fighter cockpit. You're basically isolated. You're in a little pod here. Right in front of you, you have a digital display, very crisp. As I mentioned earlier, man, oh man, that head-up display is so clear. You have an 8-inch screen. Now this is the largest they could actually fit in here because of the vents. Look at how thin these vents are. These are the thinnest vents in the industry. So because of that, they wanted everything small, thin, so they could lower the dash line. So you have better visibility.
front occupants now sit 16 inches more forward than the previous generation Corvette. You feel like you're just like basically right over the wheels, and that really translates to the steering feel you get. It's very, very direct. You might think this is an odd looking steering wheel, and it kind of is. It's flat on the top and flat on the bottom. It has a very good feel to it though. The reason being because being flat on the top, it doesn't obstruct your vision again. Everything's about seeing, and these A-pillars are very, very thin. Visibility is great, just not out the back, but you do have the digital mirror here, so that there's a camera in the back there, give it a wide angle lens. Then onward, we're inching toward this center part here. You have push button transmissions, you have a selector. This is for your drive selection, and you have your heating controls all the way down this right side here. And yeah, I think it might take a little getting used to. And I've asked some of the people from General Motors, like, why did you do that? And they basically figure that you don't use these buttons a lot. You know, it's easy to actually, while you're driving, to just hit up or down for heat. And your passenger settings are below that. All Corvettes come with a removable top, and this one has the optional plexiglass one. I like it because it'll allow some light in here. But coming soon is the convertible C8. I had a chance to look at that. That is hot, 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 and it doesn't cost that much more. And believe it or not, with the convertible, it's a hardtop convertible, you actually get more room for storage than the actual coupe. That is amazing. This interior is very, very well put together. There are no fake bits, so no faux leather, no faux metal. If it looks like metal, it's not plastic, it's metal. On the paddle shifters, on the trim here, leather steering wheel, leather seats. Now, one thing, what do you think about this blue color? It's a little bit polarizing. I'm not sure if I actually like this color, but good thing is, you can select almost any color you want. I don't think I did this one though. So let's see what it's like in the passenger seat. Okay, lots of room here. I can actually move my seat up even, or all the way back. It has a lot of recline. But there's a wall here. I wish it was a little bit lower, but they really wanted to make this driver-centric. You're in that cockpit, and you really are separated from your passenger. I find it's, I don't know if it is tight, it just feels mentally like you are in your own little world on this side.
There are 3 available seats now. There's the GT1, which are the base 8-way powered seats with nice support and comfort. This is a good all-around seat. Then there's the competition seat for the hardcore performance enthusiasts. You get a lot more bolstering, but it may not be as good for everyday long drives. And then there's the GT2, which is essentially like the GT1, the comfortable one, but it has the great looks of the competition seat, like the carbon fiber bits and stuff. So if you want comfort, but you want to have that great looking sports seat, this is the one to get.
One thing you do not compromise with the new C8 Corvette is space. First of all, the door handle is recessed in this vent now. It's kind of cool. So we pop open the front trunk. It's deep. Really, really, really deep. You can fit a carry-on suitcase in here or a whole bunch of softer bags. So you open it with the button inside on the door, or there is an actual latch right there. So easy to get in and out of. Now, onto the back. This is impressive. Lift it up, it shows off that beautiful LT2 V8 engine, but check out the space here. It is deep, and if you're a golfer, guess what? I fit 2 full-size golf bags in the back here. They fit perfectly. So golfers, you don't have to use up any room for the passenger, and it's a soft close hood as well. Bonus. Okay, we're gonna have a little bit of fun here and try out launch control as well.
How you doing?
Good.
All right, man. So pretty easy. I'll have you do a launch control start from here.
Okay.
Just make sure your brake pressure is set with your left foot.
Yep.
Okay, hard as possible. And then you just go to full throttle all the way at once. It'll stabilize at about 4 grand.
Okay.
And you just come off the brake. Let's try it.
All right.
Brake pressure. Go to full throttle.
Got it. Here we go. Ooh, that's fun. We are in a Corvette right now that has the passive springs, so it doesn't have the magnetic ride control. The stability control just kicked in there. This is actually more fun than the big track. I think you can really get this thing a little bit lucid, like that. And hard on the brakes. Nice. Now we're in a car that has the magnetic ride control plus the PTM, the Performance Track Management. All right, so we are gonna go and get ready to launch. Remember, 0 to 60, 2.9 seconds. Here we go, launch control. To the floor, and whoa, this thing really keeps you on the track. It's a little crisper, if that makes sense. A little hoppy, actually. I'll take either one, but I would get the magnetic ride control just for the on-road performance.
The Corvette has always been a halo car, and this new mid-engine C8 is a perfect example of what Chevrolet is capable of. I think they've done a great job of creating a car that'll appeal to younger buyers while still pleasing the existing Corvette owners. It's not a super abrasive and raw experience that you might expect when looking at it. It's more like a gentleman than a monster. This is my style of car. It's a great, comfortable Grand Tour that will sure to get a lot of attention wherever you go, yet it has a wide performance envelope. The level of refinement is on par, if not better, than anything else on its radar. The C8 Corvette Stingray starts at $69,995 Canadian, but expect to spend about $90,000 for one that has options like the magnetic ride control and the Z or Z51 Package, which is not inexpensive, but at least it's attainable, which is a huge plus.
All I can say, take my money now. I'm telling you, this new C8 Corvette is everything that it's hyped up to be. The on-road ride, it really is a GT. You could really tour across the country in this vehicle, and on the track, we proved it. This thing is super, super capable, and this is just the regular Stingray. Wait till the next iterations come. This thing is really gonna be a rocket for those who wanna really take it to the next level.